So I think we all have just a few minutes left that we can open up to at least a couple of questions, and then there might be some of us who could stay around longer. Yes?
Okay, so
That's-
Judge Croce, is that your name? You said that?
Who, me?
Yes.
I'm Judge Oldfield,
Oh.
but I'll be mistaken for Judge Croce.
Well, I'm Wayne. Hello, everybody. I'm Wayne from Air Candy Radio.
Hi.
I just had a few questions. I'm trying to get some notes here, so don't mind me if I look at my phone. So basically, just a question for you. You basically said that sending people to jail, sending these people with drug issues to jail is a better solution to overcome this illness.
I'm so sorry if that's what you heard in the 5 or 6 minutes that I spoke.
It's not. That's just that's the first thing I have now.
Okay, well, let's be clear.
Okay, please.
That is not what I said.
Okay.
But what I
That's
said
what
is
I asked.
sometimes the arrest is what saves that person's life. And it happens every day across our state. And I could give you a number of graduates who would tell you the same thing. Now, sometimes we do have to put people behind bars for some short period of time to save them from their own actions. And it's a terrible thing when we have to do that. But we work every day towards making sure we can find a bed for them in a residential facility or a treatment program that's outpatient or a sober support community. Because definitely incarceration does not treat the addiction.
Right.
And that's what Judge Christine Croce and I work towards every single day.
Okay, so and I only ask that because I've suffered from mental illness and I turned to drugs, to help cope with.
I'm sorry to hear that.
As a coping mechanism. Don't be sorry, I'm not there anymore. You know what I mean? So I don't feel like jail would have ever, even sent me on a right path to do that. I'm gonna get out, and if I'm addicted to this drug, I'm gonna go do
You're
what
right.
I do. I don't feel like you should punish me for having an addiction. I don't feel like. I'm sorry, but I'm just not.
No, I appreciate your
what
comments.
what you stood for, because it doesn't really, and I wish I had more people here amongst this crowd who were like me, because I really don't feel like, this issue dangerous, I think that's a strong word. You know what I'm saying?
It's strong words for strong conduct.
I think dangerous is a very strong word to use, and I don't feel like there's enough, there's only 4 bullets up here to stand for this dangerous word. I don't feel like that's enough. It doesn't-
Well, I appreciate your comments. If I can summarize, what you're saying is putting people in jail and prison is not going to treat their addiction. And I'm going to tell you something. I 100% agree with you. Issue 1 doesn't solve that problem. And I've explained to you all the reasons why. Issue 1 doesn't solve that problem. But I thank you for your comments. Who else? Yes.
So what I'd like to know is what effect overall would issue 1 have on the drug courts, both at the municipal and the county level?
We are now conducting an audit to see how many of our offenders who have low-level, or really any-level drug possession offenses then could not enter the program. Drug courts, as you know, we don't just take people with drug possession offenses. Judge Christine Croce and I routinely review screens to make sure that we can take in an expansive number of people on all different manner of charges, and our prosecutors are very therapeutic-minded in that regard. So we have people in there on receiving stolen property, on breaking and entering, and other felonies that will not be affected by issue 1. But again, I explained to all of you that the last 2 years, Summit County has had more than 3,000 people charged with felony low-level drug possession. And these services that we provide at Turning Point are available to all the judges that are up here. And so those are all people who, again, without the intersection with the criminal justice system, will not get those services. I don't mean to hog this microphone. Yeah.
Okay, so you said that there were over 3,000 convictions, but only 150 that were actually turned over into the rehabilitation program?
There were over 3,000 charges,
Right.
about 2,000 convictions, and yet that's only drug possession, low-level felonies, but we had about 150 people in the prison system in Summit County for all felonies.
Okay, so what are the qualifications that are necessary to be allotted the opportunity to be able to be rehabilitated
Sure.
as opposed to prison?
There's a lot of factors that we consider. We consider a lot of things like, number 1, do you have a drug or alcohol problem? And I gotta tell you, I don't make that decision because I'm not a treatment professional, so I stay in my lane. And we send an individual who appears to have that problem either because they're not showing up for court, or they're on supervision on their bond and they're testing positive, or they're on supervision on probation and they're testing positive, or they're telling us they have a struggle. Sometimes we get letters from family. So we try to use every single resource we have to figure out, does this person have a drug or alcohol problem that needs attention? Once we find that out, we send them for a comprehensive assessment through our Suffolk County ADM board. And they get that assessment, they tell us, listen, Judge, this person, their need is great, they need residential, we try to get them a bed. Or they say, Judge, this person can manage themselves in the community with the right supervision. So what we try to do is increase our funnel all the time so we can capture as many people as we can and provide them those services. Because look, most of the people we sentence, they're going to get out of prison. They're not going there forever. So why would I want them to get out and still have that same problem? I absolutely would not. Yes?
Okay, yes. I mean, going to prison is so big, especially when you're talking about something, a low-level offense that's not violent.
Yes.
And you're saying, you know, you're going to go to jail and you're going to get out. But we work with Air Candy Radio. We talk to a lot of people who have done time and who have gotten out. We talk to a lot of police officers. And a lot of times people go to jail and they become even worse criminals. I mean, people can get drugs inside of jail. It's a lot of things that go on inside of jail. Some people go to jail and never come home.
Sure.
So to say, you know, somebody that was nonviolent and they did something with a felony 4 or felony 5 where they could have been rehabilitated out here versus going to jail, and then they go to jail and become an even worse criminal. I mean,
I can understand why that
it's like
would
it's
concern
just
you.
like it seems like they're making it so light. You know, they're going to jail and they're going to come back home. Like that's
Yeah.
crazy.
So I want you to understand a couple things. Number one, no one believes prison is light. Every single judge up here will tell you it's one of the worst days that we have during the week when we have to send someone to prison. Number two, there are laws in Ohio. We can't even send people with a felony 5 to prison unless they're a violent offender or they have a sex offense in their background. So anyone who's telling you they're upset because their felony 5 got them sent to prison, that's not accurate. Because there are laws in place already in Ohio that prevent that. And there are laws in place that prevent us from sending you if you screwed up on probation, on a technical violation, for instance, you use drugs or whatever you want to define it to be, from sending you to prison there too. So again, I agree with you, prison is a harsh consequence. And I know that here in Summit County, it is reserved for the harshest of circumstances. Does anybody else want to address that? No.
No, I mean, I will.
Do you guys want me to sing?
No, I mean, I will. I'll address it. You raised very valid points, but I also want to be clear exactly about what Judge Oldfield said versus what you may have heard. You just heard from a person who, one, provides treatment and therapy and believes in a more rehabilitative process than sending people to jail or to prison.
Right.
So let's be clear about the answer she gave and what's going on here in this room. Do you have any questions for me?
She didn't answer my question.
She did not? All right.
I asked what the qualifications are for each individual person, and she said that basically everyone else decides, but at the end, the person who actually gives the sentence is the judge, correct?
Correct.
So ultimately, it's up to you guys, but what are those qualifications you guys are looking for?
Oh, I see. The criteria, those are defined by statute as provided for and passed by our state legislators. Do we have any of those folks here? No? Yeah, the state legislators are the individuals that pass the laws, and then we as judges are required to follow those laws. Now, does that answer your question?
No, but it's fine.
Okay. Well, tell me, what is that?
Well, basically,
Yes.
as I said, we appreciate us being invited. We're Air Candy Radio, and we're the ones who give the information to our community, most of the urban communities. So we get the information from you guys, and we're happy that you invited us so we can give it back. Because there's a lot of misunderstanding with our community, and we know that time is precious. So after this, anyone who wants to get with us, from the police force, judges, or anyone, to set up something so that we can create it so our community kind of knows what's going on, because they're so divided about the issue.
Yes.
And to be perfectly honest, amongst our team, we are too, but we're not educated enough, about it to pass it on so the community really understand what goes on.
Right. Will you come and find me after, and then I want you to come and visit me?
Okay.
Will you do that?
Yes, I will.
No, that's what I want you to do. All right, very good. All right, who else? I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
My name is Willie Johnson. I'm a former firefighter and paramedic in the city of Akron. And if you go about less than a mile from here, there have been 55 shootings in about a year's period of time. You cannot tell me that if we would vote for issue 1, that high-level offenders are not going to be hidden in the fabric of this legislature and also the impact that has already decimated this community, and I don't see how this will level the playing field. I think it will help those who have hidden behind that will proliferate with that.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments, sir. Anybody else? Yes.
I'm a defense
Do
lawyer.
I know you?
Yeah, I'm a defense lawyer in Summit County, and I just have a question with regard to the possession of heroin, cocaine, fentanyl. Does that mean any amount?
My understanding is less than 20 grams of fentanyl would be classified as a misdemeanor. So anything 20 grams and under, Prosecutor Walsh?
There's definitely a difference of opinion on the amount. If you read all 4 pages, if you look at the actual amendment, it just says possession. There is no limit. It doesn't say a lower amount for an F4 or an F5 level. It just says possession. I think the intent, at least as I've heard, I think the intent was for felony 4s and 5s, but when the amendment got filed, it doesn't say that. So we have packets of information with us. We have the 4 pages. We're happy to give copies to whoever wants it. You could look at that yourself and you could see where it does not say the amount.
So as a defense lawyer, my concern would be if it doesn't say any amount, and there would be a large amount, if an officer would spot somebody that had such a thing, they could, if they knew that they're going to get a misdemeanor for charging them with possession, they would then charge them with trafficking, which is a worse offense.
Except that it isn't always that easy to prove the trafficking if there aren't other factors
But I'm saying
involved
that is
besides the
something that they
possession.
could do.
Yeah. I mean,
So that as a defense lawyer, there's some reason to.
no, I think there's probably a number of unintended consequences that we could argue, that some of the provisions in issue 1 that were intended to be helpful in some fashion actually are going to cause a bigger problem, certainly. Yes. Yes?
Can you tell me if issue 1 addresses prescription drugs, Adderall, and anything like vaccine?
Well, it would address any drugs if they're obtained illegally. So yes, prescription drugs, if they're obtained illegally, would also be included. Yes. Yes. All right, well, thank you very much. Some of us will be around for a little bit. If you want to ask any individual questions, we'll be happy to talk to you. So thank you all. I appreciate you coming.